Describe each of the following sequences by a rule in words, and where appropriate, give a recursion formula or formula for the sequence. So the first one is 2, 6, 10, 14, 18, ... So the first thing you want to do is just have a look and see, is there a common difference between each term? So to get from 2 to 6 plus 4, from 6 to 10 plus 4, from 10 to 14 plus 4, from 14 to 18. So what we had to do was add 4 to each term to get the next term. So the rule in words is literally just add 4 to each term to get the next term. The recursion formula is always un plus 1, which is going to be un, being whatever the term may be, plus 4. So this plus 4 here is our common difference. So the formula is going to be un, or the nth term, equals 4n, because the common difference is 4. And if we were to go back by 4, starting at the 2 and going back by 4 to the 0 term, we would get to minus 2. So let's have a look at that in detail. So we had 2, 6, 10, 14, 18, ... So the first thing we want to do is check, is it an arithmetic or a linear sequence? So is the first difference the same? To get from 2 to 6 is plus 4, from 6 to 10 plus 4, 10 to 14 plus 4, 14 to 18 plus 4. So for our nth term, we know we have a 4, and we stick on an n, because the common difference was 4. Then what we have to do is go to the first term, which was 2, and we're going to now go back by 4 to get what would be the 0 term. So if I go back by 4, 2 minus 4 is going to be minus 2. I'm going to call that T0, term 0, my 0 term, and I just stick that onto the 4n. 4n minus 2 is my nth term. So that's where that came from. Note that u1 equals 4 times 1 minus 2. u2, or term 2, equals 4 times 2 minus 2. And u3, or term 3, equals 4 times 3 minus 2, etc. So this gives us the formula. So once we have our nth term formula, no matter what term we're looking for, we just sub in that number in place of the n. So for term 1, we subbed in 1. For term 2, we subbed in 2. For term 3, we subbed in 3, etc. Okay, part 2, our sequence is 6, 12, 24, 48, 96, ... So first thing we want to do is see what is the difference between each of the terms. So if I write this out up here, I have 6, 12, 24, 48, 96, ... To get from 6 to 12, it's a difference of 6. To get from 12 to 24, it's a difference of 12. From 24 to 48, it's a difference of 48. And I don't need to go any further. I can clearly see that my first difference is not the same. So this is not an arithmetic or linear sequence, and therefore we cannot use the formula that we used in the last question, which is the 0 term, nth term formula. So let's have a look a bit closer at these numbers and see what is the relationship between them. Well, we notice that each term after the first is a double of the previous term. So 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. 48 times 2 is 96. So the rule in words, we multiply the previous term by 2 to get the next term. So the recursion formula would be un plus 1 is going to be un times 2. So whatever the un plus 1 represents, it's going to be the previous term multiplied by 2. So the formula for that, un, is going to be 6 times 2 to the power of n minus 1. So 6 being the first term, and each time we're multiplying it by 2 to the power of n minus 1. So for example, the first term would be 6 times 2 to the power of 1 minus 1. 1 minus 1 being 0, and 2 to the power of 0 is 1, so 6 by 1 would give us 6. So U1 is 6. U2, or term 2, would be 6 times 2 to the power of 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1, and 2 to the power of 1 is just 2, and 6 times 2 is 12. And that is indeed the second term. Third term, U3, is going to be 6 times 2 to the power of 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 squared is 4, and 6 times 4 is 24, and that is indeed the third term. Now there's no set formula or rule or method as such that you can learn off like you could with the previous example. It's just a case of writing out each term, seeing what is the pattern, what's happening between each term, and trying to identify, is there a common formula? Sometimes there won't be, sometimes it may not be an actual sequence at all, but this is rarely going to happen. Number 3, 2, 3, 5, 7 and 11. So again, we're going to check, well, what's going on between each term. So if I write my sequence out, so I've got 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, dot, dot, dot. And the first thing I always do is see, is there a common difference between each term? To get from 2 to 3 is a difference of 1. From 3 to 5 is a difference of 2. From 5 to 7, a difference of 2. From 7 to 11, a difference of 4. So I notice straight away that my first difference is not the same. I do not have a common first difference, so this sequence is not arithmetic or linear, so I cannot use my 0 term rule to help me get a formula for this. So you will have to recognize that the numbers given are the first few prime numbers. We can write down a rule, but a recursion formula or formula are not appropriate. So the rule in words would just be take the next prime number.